What is going on, everyone? Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. I have no idea where you are, what time you're watching this, but wherever you are, hope you're having a good day. So today we're doing some BRZ stuff. Has anyone missed the BRZ on the channel like I have? Like, I have personally missed the BRZ while it's been away at Subaru, but the BRZ is doing great. It's doing awesome. So when it was down at Subaru, they went like above and beyond on the car for me, which I greatly appreciate. They went through, they resealed everything, they replaced some of the timing components for me. We got the valve spring recall done. They fixed that clutch fork for us also, so they knocked it out of the park. So if you guys are up in the Pacific Northwest area, kind of like I am, and you need a dealer to do something, because sometimes it does come down to that when a dealer just needs to knock out a job for us. Subaru Puyallup, where I took it, they did an awesome job. Not affiliated with them. They're just a really good local dealer. But anyway, so we're gonna be doing some BRZ stuff today. I have those Fortune Auto coilovers that I have been itching to get on the car and getting those yellow speeds off of the car. So we're gonna be doing that today. I've already kind of shown you guys how to install coilovers, but there are some things that I do want to show you guys, some key differences between the yellow speeds and the Fortune Autos, of why I'm switching to the Fortune Autos, as well as how to set preload on coilovers, because I know when some people start getting into coilovers, setting some preload stuff like that does get a little, I don't want to say scary, but some people do get a little turned off by setting preload on their own car, but it's really not too bad to do. So let's hop over to the bench. I've already set preload on 3 coilovers just to kind of speed this up a little bit, so I'll show you guys how to set it on the last one. Once we get that last preload set on that coilover, we'll go ahead, we'll get the car jacked up. I'm just gonna time lapse taking off all the yellow speeds. Once I get a front and a rear off of the yellow speeds, I'll show you guys in comparison, and then we'll go take the car out for a quick spin and see how the Fortune Autos feel compared to those yellow speeds that were on the car. So in front of me, we have one of the front coilovers for the BRZ. This is the Fortune Auto one. So I'm gonna show you guys how to set preload on this. What you're gonna need is you're gonna essentially need the spanner wrenches that come with the coilovers. You're gonna need some type of measuring device. I'm using calipers or a tape measure, or even a ruler will work if you have one of those. I highly suggest calipers though. If you guys don't have calipers, I'll link a set below, but calipers come in handy so much when doing anything on a car. I promise you, they are a lifesaver. So let's get this guy opened up. I'll show you guys the coilover. I'll give you a quick overview of it. Then we'll dip into getting the preload set on this guy, and then we'll start installing them on the car and getting those yellow speeds off. Well, blam, there is our coilover right there. So Fortune Autos honestly are one of my favorite. They actually are my very favorite coilover out on the market. They just do such a good job with their manufacturing. They manufacture everything in-house. You get a build certificate because they hand build all of these coilovers as well. They give you a really good user guide for the coilovers, and then just to show you guys, there's the certificate. It's like the build date, who built it, the spring rates, all that kind of stuff, whatever you need. So I just got bare basic Fortune Autos. I've used them in the past. They're more than enough for what I need out of a car. If at some point I do want to upgrade to the Swift springs, we will definitely do so. But a feature that I really like about these coilovers is on a lot of coilovers I've had in the past, these two collars always like to seize up. Now with these Fortune Auto ones, they put a small little set screw inside of the locking collar on the top, so that way you can just take out the set screw, get preload set, lock it down, and not have to mess with it. So I am more than happy with this feature. I love being able to have this on coilovers because it makes life a lot easier. It just means that your locking collars won't seize, and it sucks when your collars seize. I've had it happen multiple times. To get into setting preload, so preload for the front and the rear is going to be different. It's also going to vary on the coilovers that you have. For Fortune Auto, we have a 7, I believe this is a 6-inch spring, my bad. So we have a 6-inch spring up front. So right now I have all preload taken off the coilover. As you can see, the spring can just freely move like that. Now, just to show you guys the spring height, my measuring skills are not absolutely perfect right now, but they are 6-inch springs. So when it comes to the fronts, we want to put a 1/4 inch of preload on the fronts and an 1/8 of an inch preload on the rear. For the fronts, it's going to be 0.25 inches. For the rear, it's going to be 0.125 inches. So essentially what we want to do is we want to compress this front spring down to 5.75 inches before installing it on the car. That's going to make sure you're not getting any clunk on the coilovers. The ride height is comfortable and everything like that. Now, you never want to adjust height based off of this preload collar. I've seen people do it before. Just don't do it. It makes things awful for driving. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten down this locking collar, get it to the point where this spring is compressed to 5.75 inches. After that, preload's set and it's done, and that's it for preload. It's honestly not as hard as people think it is. All right, and that guy is tight. So now you can see The spring no longer moves, it's solid. Preload has been set, so I mean preload is essentially exactly what it says in the name. You're preloading the spring to whatever compression it needs, but if you start messing with that too much, you change like the compression of the spring, the rebound, a lot of things go into just adjusting this one coil. But now that the coil is set, I'm gonna run through, I'm just gonna time lapse me pulling off the yellow speed racing coilovers. I'm gonna start in the rear and then we'll move up to the front. And as we start getting them off, I'll bring them up to the bench, we'll compare them, we'll take a look at the yellow speeds versus the Fortunatos, and I'll show you guys the major differences between them and why I prefer Fortunato over the yellow speeds. Alright, so on the table you'll see a lot of goodness happening. So there's a couple main gripes that I have with these yellow speeds and why I'm swapping over to these FAs. Now I might just be pickier than the average bear, but you know what, I don't care because it's my car and I'm gonna be as picky as I want. So something with these yellow speeds that I just absolutely hated is when I bought these, first of all, this rear extender, it should not do that. That bothers the hell out of me. I know it shouldn't bother me, but it bothers me. Also, these were way too long. These were 50 millimeters too long on these dampening adjustment knobs, which is why I had to trim them. If I'm buying a product for over $1,000, I shouldn't have to trim your rear extenders because they're 50 millimeters too long. I also don't like the fact that they just pull right out because you're gonna lose one. With the Fortunatos, they do not pull off at all. There is a set screw right here inside of that adjustment knob so that it does not come out. It'll never come out unless you take off that set screw to take off the adjustment knob. That's one of my main big gripes about it. Also, these coilovers, the yellow speeds, they don't give you any information in the instructions. I don't even have the instructions anymore because I threw them away because they were literally just like printed on a piece of paper. It was pretty trash. But they don't give you any preload information about these. And when I first installed these coilovers and I first took them out to drive them, the preload on them, I already know the preload on them is screwed. Apparently they set them from the factory. The spring definitely has preload on it, but I don't think the preload is set accordingly, or these shocks themselves are just really, really noisy because every single time I'd go over a bump, these would clunk, they'd clank, they'd make some stupid noise that personally I just didn't like. Now, quality build wise, I can tell you looking at these, the Fortunato quality wise is significantly better. If you look at the lower mounts between these two, this just, I mean, it just feels like a piece of machined aluminum, which there's nothing wrong with that. But the Fortunatos, they just have that, they go that extra mile. They have that extra like touch to them. They're powder coated. They look beautiful. They're hand built. They say these are hand built. I don't necessarily believe that after seeing the couple sets I have had on the BRZ and on a couple friends' cars. I don't believe these are hand built, and if they are, they're just not hand building them very nicely. Hardware wise, as you can see on the Fortunatos, let me take off these little cap dealios. Hardware wise up here, this is, I believe, 304 stainless steel, something that is not going to rust over time, as opposed to these studs that are on the yellow speeds. I mean, they look like galvanized steel to me, which I've already seen them rust on other people's cars after having them on there for 6 months or so. Price point wise, these FAs run you about $1,200. These yellow speeds will run you about $1,100, what I've seen on their website. Also, another big thing, it's not even with the rears, it's with the fronts, but on their website, Yellow Speed advertises a different top hat that you get with their coilovers versus what you actually get. So it's a little disappointing to spend over $1,000 on a set of coilovers, and they're just not up to your level of quality control. So I mean, they work, they lower the car. People use these all the time, but for me, they're just not a good coilover for me. I just don't personally like them. Now with the Fortunatos also, the springs on here, they just look, everything on here just looks quality. It feels quality, it smells quality. These coilovers just scream quality. And for the extra $100 that you're spending, honestly, get the Fortunatos over the yellow speeds. My personal opinion, you can do what you want. It's your car, you have your opinions as well. But for me, Fortunato is gonna be the way to go. So let's get these reinstalled, or let's get the new Fortunatos installed on the car. I'm just gonna time lapse all that. I'll time lapse pulling off the fronts. Once we get the fronts off, we'll do another comparison like this, so that way I can show you guys the differences between the fronts of the Fortunatos and the yellow speeds. Okay, now I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about the fronts because a lot of the issues are the same as the rear. But pretty much with the fronts, I mean, you can already see the quality difference between the Fortunatos behind and the, well, in front for you. So the Fortunatos and the yellow speeds. So one thing with the yellow speeds that I noticed is after like 3 days, it'll focus on it, like right on the welds, right in here on this bracket line, rust started to appear after just sitting on the car for 3 days before I even had drove them, anything like that. So I mean, they didn't fully cover the welds that they decided to do, and the welds on here just, they don't look good. Like if you look at the welds on Fortunatos, the welds on the Fortunato brackets, they look pristine, they look perfect, no issues with them at all. If you come over here and look at the yellow speeds, I mean, it looks like my buddy in the garage welded these brackets on here. Like, no offense to anyone, but I'm just saying, you get what you pay for. So let's get this last coilover thrown on the car. Let's get, let me realign the front of the car. I already went through, realigned the rear of it. So let's get this installed, align the car, and go drive it. All right, you guys, the coilovers are now installed on the car. The coilovers themselves were not, I mean, they were coilovers. They're easy to install. The alignment that I just did on the car took much longer than the install the coilovers did. I had to have Melanie come out, hold the steering wheel for me while I adjusted the toe in the front and the rear of the, well, not the rear, but the front of the car. So the alignment is not bad for a quick garage alignment. We are towed in a little bit on the front, and actually no, the other side's perfect. So we're just towed in just a hair on the front passenger side. I'm just gonna bite the bullet. I've been putting off buying this tool. I'm just gonna buy an alignment plate set. Essentially it just sits on the outside of the wheels, tape measures run across it, and you can just do your alignment that way. So I'm probably just gonna order a set of that on Amazon. I think they're like 200 bucks, but it'll pay for itself over time, so I'm not spending money on alignments. I mean, I haven't paid for an alignment in years. I just do all my alignments in the garage, just kind of eyeballing it to get it pretty much where I need it. But besides that, coilovers are on, yellow speeds are off. Let's go hop in the car and drive the BRZ around, see how the Fortunatos feel in comparison to the yellow speed racing coilovers. You guys may see me kill the car too, because I'm still like getting used to this clutch on the BRZ. Like, it is like super touchy. Like the engagement point on this clutch is all the way in, where the engagement point on the STI, bloop, the engagement point on the STI is all the way out, so it's really weird going back and forth between the two cars. But let's get set up in the car, let's go drive around, let's see how they feel, and we'll swing back to the garage and end this video. All right, you guys, so let's see how these feel. I'm going to give you a forewarning now. The BRZ does have solid engine mounts, so if the camera vibrates unknowingly for stupid reasons, I do apologize. You may also hear the overpipe rubbing on the front subframe. These are small issues I gotta fix. But just driving on the street normally, I can tell that I need to fix my alignment still, because it is slightly off. Not as off as it was before, but it's slightly off. It pulls a little to the right, but it's all right. We're making do with what we got. Honestly, so far, I mean, I can tell a huge difference with these Fortunato coilovers versus the yellow speeds. Right off the bat, they're already, wow, dude, my alignment is like super off. So right off the bat, I can already tell that the coilovers feel a lot softer and a lot smoother than the YSRs did. The YSRs were also very bouncy, even on the softest stiffness for the dampening. And these are a lot quieter too. So one thing that I noticed with the YSRs is that any bump that you went over, any bump, it would like make a weird clunking noise coming from the back. Can you guys hear that? Don't kill it, don't kill it, don't kill it, don't kill it, don't kill it. We're solid. So far, I mean, I love them. I already knew I was gonna love them. I've ran these coilovers in my old BRZ and they feel just wonderful. I guess the alignment actually isn't too far off. Oh, okay, I got an ABS light for some reason. That's weird. Oof, okay. Rear of the car might be a little low. I wonder what happens if I turn the car off and turn it back on. ABS and traction control turned off when I restarted the car. That's weird. But like I was saying, the coilovers feel entirely better from the YSRs. They still need a little bit of tweaking to get them where I need them, but overall I am more than happy with the purchase on the FA500s. But with that, that's really all I got for you guys on this one. Just wanted to kind of show you guys why I was swapping over to the Fortunatos and whatnot. But if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button and turn it blue. Like I don't even know where I'm going with that. I need a new tagline. But if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit your boy up one of these corners. No idea which one I'll put it in quite yet. But with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies. Woo!